Yes. Yes. Okay, I'd like to take a moment and welcome everybody to the September meeting of the Human Services Committee of the Orange County Legislature. Please note that this meeting is being transmitted live. Okay, and to take a moment to be mindful and mute your cell phones and tablets. I'd appreciate it. And also a gentle reminder that the microphones are very delicate and they will pick up everything. Just be mindful of that. Okay, please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Doreen, would you mind doing attendance, please?
Sure. Amo.
Sure.
Anagnostakis. Ellers.
Here.
Luhan. Tortel.
Here.
Tui.
Here.
Sutherland.
Here.
5 present, 2 absent.
Okay, Legislator Lujan, is he running late again, or is he not going to be here today?
He will not be in
Will
attendance.
not be here today. Okay, and Mr. Legislator Anagnostakis, how about him?
He will not be in attendance today.
No, this is 3 or 4 meetings that he's missed. This
This will be for the chart.
4. Okay. All right, thank you so much for noting that for me. Okay, I'd like to welcome Christian Farrell up, the Director of Veterans Service Agency. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Good afternoon,
Good.
everyone.
Good to see you. So we have here a request to accept and appropriate funds for the 2023 Capital Project Fund, CP-240, for equipment acquisition and maintenance for the ongoing expansion project at Orange County Veterans Memorial Cemetery in the amount of $150,000, legislative request 224. This will be bonded. May I have a motion and a second? Tui and Tortel? Okay, the floor is yours.
Okay, so cemetery, very busy, unfortunately. But the funds would be used to continue the expansion of what we got going on. Cemetery opened, just some background information, back in 2000. So 22 years in, it's 19 acres, a little more than half of it's been developed. But currently, this will be used to continue the expansion. Again, just to give you an idea, this year to date, we've had 182 burials to date. So we're projected to do more than 250, which would be the most in my 7+ years here. The Vietnam veterans, era veterans are passing. It's nearly 3 million Americans served in Vietnam. So right now, that's what we're doing, trying to get to the next section of the cemetery, which would be, if you ever were there, it'd be the far left, back left, ready to be developed and used for just call it a spike or a surge in veterans burials and spouses and adult dependent children. Those are people who are eligible to be buried there. So that's sort of.
So it's going, if you're coming up the driveway, it's at the end and then to the left. Whenever I go in there, I always think the expansion's gonna be up on the right, because it looks like it's clear a little bit, but.
Yeah, I mean, well, if
along
you
that
get
line
it,
up
so
there?
if we're coming in, I mean, right now, again, if you haven't been there, if you came in, yeah, so actually though, what you're saying, Peter, is the cemetery property, that is, as you come right in, there's trees to your immediate left, that is all cemetery property. It's not targeted as being the next spot, but the next spot is, there's a gazebo or a shelter way in the far center, so to the left of that, so if you're looking right at cemetery, it's almost like 10 o'clock, if you came in the main entrance, that area back there, it would be the next spot that,
Is that clear yet?
well, trees are down and there's work being done as far as getting it graded and getting roads and all that stuff. So it's a whole process, but yeah, but it's.
And that property that you can see if you're at the gazebo and you look up to the right though, that looks like that's clear. Is that also the property?
Yeah, that's cemetery property. Even behind the tree line is cemetery property. Next time I'll come with a map of the actual grounds and you can kind of see what is part of the cemetery and what isn't. But so there's, like I said, only half of it is developed right now. And again, we're closing in on about 4,000 folks there are now currently buried, nearly 4,000.
And what would you say the projected total,
This new development will be roughly about 1,200 more plots, so you're looking on average another 5 to 6 years. And there's still, some land that we haven't, currently putting in, veterans are being.
you did the other two portions, behind the tree line and up to the right? What would you say when you're fully maxed out? What do you think it would be?
Geez, right now, because there's more than just, there's a number of different sections, right? I would think that the capacity for the entire cemetery, this is just a guess at the time, is probably you have enough for another 30, 40 years of, I would, that's just, I could bring the cemetery superintendent, I'm sure he'd be guessing it too, but just not knowing exactly what it will possibly look like. But if we have just doing some quick math, we have about 4,000 people buried there now. It's been 22 years. I don't know. Yeah, and there's, I guess, we talk about 30 years and just throwing it out there.
Okay, thanks.
Legislator Amo?
Yeah, Kristen,
Sure.
with the shift that seems to be in terms of more cremations, is that changing the footprint of the cemetery in any way?
A little bit, and it's still, we haven't seen where it's even though that has, there has been a shift from traditional burials towards cremations, but I would still think that it's still slightly maybe 60-40. So, and what, again, the other option for those who want to be cremated, again, they can be put in the ground, the plot is half the size, or we have a columbarium, which is an above ground option, which has a charge of $400. So that is actually picked up a little bit, and that the one columbarium that's been there probably prior to me getting there is nearly full, and there's another one that's going to be coming from Georgia. It'll probably be there within early next year, 2023. So I don't think it's changed the footprint of it, but it's interesting to see. But I think maybe some cemeteries, or maybe for whatever reason, are maybe it's gone more so in that direction.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, at this time, I'd like to call in favor.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No, okay, motion has passed. I just wanted to commend you on the 9/11 ceremony, as always, even in spite of the weather. It was a beautiful ceremony, extremely well attended, and I just want to thank you for everything that you do every year for that.
Thank you. I have small part, but yeah, it is, I think, a special ceremony and well attended, even,
Yeah.
More than 20 years after.
Yeah, it's tough because a lot of municipalities, we have the services at the exact same time, exact same day.
That's the first time I emceed one that was on a Sunday. Again, I've been doing that for 4 or 5 years, but it was still, again, inclement weather and on a Sunday.
And we
But
got,
I
we
think it's
got
still-
lucky in
still-
Highlands, the weather broke, and then it picked up as just a ceremony, and then
Well,
And
thank
do you know when, and I'm sorry, I should have asked you ahead of time, when the Wreaths Across America will be
I
this
think it
year?
is December 18th or December 19th. I'm sorry, I don't have that date, but
Okay.
same thing again. And we look forward to doing that. We've already started collecting money for that because it costs around $40,000 to pull that off. We had a lot of, donations, but hopefully we'll have better weather. Last year, while it was still a great event, it was, I don't know if anyone was there, it was lousy weather, but it's still,
Cold day.
it still was great. So that event's coming up, and then at the end of this month, just as we're talking cemetery stuff, September 29th, which is next Thursday, we'll have a small ceremony that is at 10 in the morning at the cemetery. If you have nothing on your schedule. That is September 29th is Orange County Veterans Memorial Day. It's a day in the county where we lost 40 veterans all on the same day back in World War I, September 29th, 1918. 40 veterans, mostly from Newburgh, Middletown, all died in this battle of the Hindenburg Line over. And anyway, so there'll be a ceremony there on that day, and we have the Wreaths Across America and Veterans Day coming up. So those are the kind of things that will keep us busy.
Well, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
and everybody.
Appreciate it.
Did you say that
Thank
was-
you,
September 29th at 10 in the morning at the cemetery. A guest speaker.
I
And
think, I got an email on that, so I
hopefully
think,
you did.
I
If
think
not,
one went
okay,
out,
so
but
we
yeah,
can
maybe,
do that again. Yeah.
would you mind sending that to Doreen again?
Yep.
We can double check.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, great.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And next up, we have Commissioner Miller, Social Services, Mental Health.
Good afternoon.
Oh, you know what? My bad. I'm sorry.
Yes,
Christian,
Yes.
Legislator Fagiano,
yes.
he wanted me to be sure to ask you, who won the game
I
Friday?
knew that.
Oh, yeah, congratulations.
Yes.
To go out their home, yeah.
Oh, he would have been so disappointed if I didn't ask that question, so I had to get that in. Thank you so much.
All right, bye-bye.
Okay, I'm sorry, I apologize. Commissioner Miller, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, thank you. We're looking at cash assistance, family assistance, and safety net. You see that safety net has increased by 10.6% over 2021. So while we saw a steady decline and significant decline during our COVID years of 2020 and 2021, we are seeing an increase in 2022. Still continue to see a very slight decline in family assistance. Our applications for temporary and family assistance come in at such a rate with about a 60 to 70% denial rate. So, you would say, oh my gosh, this is great because the caseloads are so much smaller and our staff must, have time on their hands. They don't have any time on their hands. We just had to approve overtime for that unit because of the number of applications that are coming in. Unfortunately, that 60 to 70%, we have to, once we receive an application, we have to take it all the way through the process to complete the eligibility determination. So it's still very time consuming, those units, and we do anticipate those units will increase in their numbers as the year goes forward into next year. Employment and training, still working on getting employment with our caseloads being down. Obviously, the referrals to them from us are much less, so they're working on bringing those numbers up. We had a staff recognition event on Friday. It's an annual event that we do that we've added mental health, social services, and employment training all come together. And we do it at the county park. We have an excellent group of volunteers who put that on every year. And Friday was the first time we came together since COVID. So it was over 300 staff that were able to make it to the event. We have staff that stay back in all of the buildings to make sure we're still covering all of our work. But what a great opportunity for everybody to come together, celebrate their successes, and just boost morale a bit for all of those staff. Our SNAP caseloads are increasing really to our pre-pandemic, our 2019, early 2019 numbers. That is also a unit we've talked many times here that receiving 250 to 300 applications. United Way of Orange and Dutchess received a grant where they have a full-time staff member that will be assisting and reaching out to people who may be hard to reach, who are eligible for SNAP benefits. So really focusing on the aging community and those who live out in the outskirts and within our rural areas. They will do a pre-eligibility application with folks who come forward, which is really good. So if they don't meet that criteria, it was established by OTDA, this pre-application, then they wouldn't come through for a full application. But if they do meet eligibility, initial eligibility criteria, they will assist them with getting an application out. And we're very much appreciate that. As you know, it's a federal benefit. Anyone who's eligible should apply for SNAP. Call through our offices, go to mybenefits.org to complete an application. We're happy to assist. This heat season opens at its typical time. If you might recall, last year we opened early in October, so it opens November 1st this year, and our staff are already ramping up and doing those pre-applications, those who are automatically eligible due to the benefits they currently receive. Housing placements, the work, the HHAP work at the shelter, the Honor Shelter, which is a county-owned building, as you know. Irene Furlander, our deputy, has led our link to that project. The work should be done no later than October 15th. So it's really exciting to have that almost complete after almost 16 years of it being in the works. So that's very positive. And we have families and singles that are up across the board in all of our temporary housing options, including hotels, particularly for families in the months of June and July. The housing crisis across the state is such a challenge that our surrounding counties have been using some of our hotel space here in Orange County. We're working very closely with those commissioners and directors of economic independence to try to support them in moving their individuals back into their counties, and really been a very cooperative relationship. We understand their desperation, but we need the space for our families also. So. Let's see. Medicaid, we did that on the next page. So we received an update in September of 2022 for January of 2022 enrollment in Medicaid, 131,831 individuals in the county enrolled in Medicaid. We still have a waiver in place, so there's no recertification, no closings happening in Medicaid at this time, as we're still responding under the health crisis. There will be some changes to eligibility for Medicaid, including an increase in the amount of resource you can have to be eligible, and that is likely to have more people able to be maintained on Medicaid benefits. And that will go into effect in January of next year. Our Child Protective Services. Very active, very busy. We did receive funding from a competitive application of VOCA funding of $90,000 a year for continued funding with our Child Advocacy Center for 3 years, and from Office of Children and Family Services of $100,000 for the next 5 years, each year for the next 5 years. So that's again continued funding for the Child Advocacy Center. Appreciate our Director of Services for putting those applications in, and our whole team that helps get those applications ready to go, and the state for continuing to fund that very important project. I raised the age numbers. As you can see, those numbers are a bit higher in 2022, and they look like they're on pace to be more similar to 2020's numbers, at least for the JDs. And we continue to have ongoing case conferencing cross systems efforts, very positive outcomes. Most of the youth are able to be diverted into programming. I believe I mentioned here the raise the lower age. We're actively working on a plan for come December. We have to submit a plan to Office of Children and Family Services for how we will respond to those who are 11 and younger who would have been accused of committing a crime, who will no longer be able to be arrested, investigated by police. They will all be turned over to the Department of Social Services, and we will have a responsibility to offer support to those young people and their families. They can decline.
They can't decline.
They can decline.
They can decline.
Yes.
Legislator Tui, got a question?
Yeah, Darcy, on the raise the age, it
Yes.
has this bullet up on top, 12 raise the age youth were arrested in July 2022. But the number says 4 down here, or in that column. I'm just wondering where the 12 came from.
I didn't know the answer to that, Legislator Tui. I apologize because I don't have an explanation. And I just read, when I get these reports, I get an explanation of some of the detail and some of the work that's being done to respond to the youth, but didn't pick up on that number myself.
Okay.
So I will follow up with Steve Pack, who creates these reports for us, and find out
Thank
why
you.
there's a discrepancy in that number.
Thanks, Jay.
So our foster care families, 246, for foster care children, 246 children in care, a slight reduction, from the top that, 4 children were released to adoption. Of those children, 24 of them are in adoptive placements, and only 25 of them are currently in residential care. We've also talked here extensively about the challenge of not having residential care options available for our children in foster care who need a higher level of care. We had a pretty productive, intense cross-system meeting the other day, specifically talking about this age group, the 69 of those who are in our care who are 16 and older, and 30, actually it's down to 29 of them who are 18 and older, and how we might work differently with them to help them integrate into the community and into independence. So we look forward to having some more local creative solutions in light of not having what's typically available for us to respond to their extensive needs.
Do you know off the top of your head how many therapeutic foster homes you have? Like, are those included in this number? Or do you know off the top of your head how many there are?
Yes, the therapeutic foster homes included in this number. So I have another report that comes out that gives me the breakdown of where all of the youth are, how many of them are in a traditional foster home versus a therapeutic foster home, which we contract out for.
Mhm.
We don't provide the therapeutic foster homes, so I can give you that number.
That would be great, thank you. And so who do you contract with for the therapeutic?
We contract with, God, the name's not gonna come to me, it's in front of my head. It's not Astor.
No, that's all right. But you know what, I would be interested in who they are and how many we have, because I do hear in, my line of work that
So it's in my
they're in a desperate need for therapeutic foster homes.
And you hear that through,
Just through school and working with people that, we could use more therapeutic foster homes.
well, we say this to you. If we had a population of children in foster care that we were not able to accommodate in the level of foster care that they're eligible for, I would know that. So I'm surprised that that is the word,
Okay.
but I certainly will look into it and see, what our sense is around the therapeutic
Okay.
homes.
Yeah, I think.
But in general, let's say in general, we're always looking for more foster homes.
Mhm.
Likely therapeutic and foster homes,
Mhm.
because when children come in, we need to be able to find the match between the children and young adults who come in and those foster homes that are available. So,
Thank you.
awesome. And it will come to me before we leave. Our contract agency will come to
If
me.
it comes to you at 2:00 in the morning, you can just.
And
put it in
probably
the
will.
email
I'll send you a
tomorrow.
text. I'll wake us both up. Adult protective services, I think we've talked here before too about our number of folks that we have in guardianship, and we've gotten up to 87 individuals that we provide guardianship for, which is a significant amount of work and responsibility, providing support for people who need assistance with their care and decision-making. So, we may be looking to expand the number. We have 2 right now, staff who work with a guardianship caseload, and it's getting close to maybe needing a 3rd in order to accommodate. And that number is just going to continue to grow as our aging population grows. You're seeing child support. We've seen a reduction in our collections and child support, and so have other counties across the state. We're really trying to sort out, where that difference comes in and why we're seeing a reduction in the total dollars collected. I think it may have some to do with court not being as active during the COVID period. So we'll continue to monitor those numbers. We're collecting what we're required to collect, but it's turning out to be less dollars than what we've collected in previous years. Feds just met with Cindy, our supervisor of our special investigation unit, before I came over here today. They're very active, busy. They too are putting in overtime, so, Department of Social Services still has 73 vacancies. When we came forward in our budget last year, I think we had 85 vacancies. So you would think with all of the hiring approvals and all of the canvassing and attempts to fill those positions, that we'd have a much smaller number of vacancies. But every time we hire somebody else leaves. And we promote and leaves a vacant position. So we appreciate the support of getting approval to hire. It's just really been very difficult to hire, not to mention we've interviewed, canvas lists, interviewed, people come in for the interview, they say yes, they want the job, they're definitive to, they don't show up on the start date. It's just unheard of in what we've ever experienced in county government hire before. They're leaving for higher paying jobs, they're leaving because their benefit package is too high cost, and there's no flexibility, they can get flexibility in their other jobs. So we're doing everything we can to make it the best place to work, but I'm not filling those positions as fast as we'd like. So almost all of our units are on overtime right now in order to cover the workload, and we appreciate really their efforts. And that's all I have.
Questions?
Yeah, Darcy, with the amount of migrants that have been coming into, Westchester Airport, our own Stewart Airport, New York City in close proximity, have there been requests and outreach from any of your partners in social services around the county? Can you shed some light on what that might be?
Well, we hear rumor and sometimes it's becomes fact, but because many of the migrants who are coming into our community, or folks who are undocumented, unless they have asylum, like for example, those coming in from Venezuela, they have applied for asylum and they have rights to benefits. Those who come in undocumented, who don't fall under asylum, they don't have access to benefits. That being said, we do have a small amount of federal dollars. Most federal dollars also exclude people who are undocumented. We have a small amount of federal dollars that came in under COVID that it gives flexibility for status, right, regardless of status. So we could be creative in how we might be able to support families if they came forward. It's very frustrating for us as a system when we have somebody who under New York State Code rules and regulations is not eligible for SNAP benefits or temporary housing benefits or cash assistance, and they're here with young children, how you creatively support them. We do have some agencies like Catholic Charities, for example, who support those who are undocumented, help them go through the process of becoming legal. So we do everything that we can to try
Are they
to.
seeing their numbers go up, Catholic Charities?
They have not reported to me that they are. It's not something that's under my contract,
Yeah.
but it's a direct contract that they have. But I've not had that report to me, nor have we seen an increase in numbers coming in. We've heard that there were some migrants coming into our county, and then we heard that a bus took them somewhere else. So I don't really know the number that have moved into Orange County. And
Anything regarding the schools?
in the
Any
past,
spikes?
I believe COVID changes your timing of years, but I believe it was last year that there was an increase. We had some unaccompanied minors that were rumored to have come into our county, and there was an increase in enrollment in our new school district of Spanish-speaking students, yes.
Thank you, Chairwoman.
Of course. Legislator Patel.
I just wanted to, I know you get a lot of minutia sometimes, but Tammy was very instrumental. Unfortunately, the person we couldn't convince at this point yet, we're still working and hoping and praying, but she was phenomenal, calling me, 8, 9 o'clock at night and helping me to figure out what the process is and explaining it to me, who's never had to, be that intimately involved with that situation. And I just wanted you to please, I extended my thanks to her personally, but I wanted to let you know as her supervisor how great she was and how helpful she was and how caring.
Yeah, she's incredible. Tammy Ryan is our director of chemical dependency services and some adult services on the mental health side. And she carries a caseload. So many of us do, it's not our role, but we care about the people that come forward to us and do everything we can. We don't take no for an answer. And remember the gentleman that I talked about, 11 times he overdosed and was reapproached and he's in treatment. So we never give up. We keep working on
And
it.
then we're not giving up
when people
either
are ready.
this individual, but it's, the system was interesting because there's different levels and she broke it down and somebody who's not part of that world and that treatment world broke it down to where I could understand like where the person's at and what program they really need to be in and going forward with and where that program is located. And surprisingly, some of it's not within this county, but it's a contract thing and it's a statewide
Yes.
thing. So she was really, really very thorough in answering my questions and very helpful. And hopefully we'll get this individual into care and her care soon.
Wonderful. Thank you. I'm glad. I'll let her know.
Thank you.
Any other
Thanks,
questions? Of course. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you so much.